We're about to begin the funeral service. We ask for those that have a cell phone or pager, if you could turn it to the silent mode. I'll ask Rabbi Newman to come forward.
This over here. And the markers were. Mizmor LeDavid Adonai Roi Lo Yachzor B'nai Stasha Yar B'Tzaini Amay Menuchas Yinaleini Nafshi Yeshayve V'Yancheni B'Maglei Tzedek L'man Shemoi Gam Ki Eilech B'Geitz Almavas L'Ira Roki Ata Imadi Shiftecha Mishantecha Hemay Nachamuni Tarech L'Fanai Shulchan Neged Tzaruroi Deshanta V'Shem and Reishi Kaisi Revaya Achtai V'Chesed Yerfuni Kol Yimei Chayai We're gathered together here today to give kavod achrein to Aisha Rochel Bas Shalom Harav Shalom Aisha, Mrs. Taragin Aleh Shalom, a woman that was very beloved by everyone. And I was thinking to myself, what would be a reason why a woman should be so beloved as she was beloved by everyone? And I think there are two reasons based on Chazal and based on Psukim. Shlomo HaMelech says, K'mayim haponim laponim kein lev ha'adam la'adam. The same way when we look into waters, it reflects our image in the water, so too is the heart of one person to another person. When somebody loves other people, then other people will love them. Someone who extends themselves for others. A woman who was able to teach for 40 years children with such a love to the children, so much so that many of them keep in contact with her. That love reflects itself back, and therefore she was so beloved by everyone. I believe there's another dimension. The Mishnah in Avos says, Kol sheruach habriyas noicha emenu, ruach hamakam noicha emenu. Someone who finds favor in people's eyes finds favor in Hashem's eyes. Hashem is happy with those that other people are happy with them. The Chavis of Avos learns differently in the Mishnah in Avos. He says that this is not a cause, but rather it's a sign. Hashem Yisborach makes a person beloved in other people's eyes or not beloved. When Hashem is happy with you, He makes you beloved by other people. Mrs. Taragin Aleh Shalom made HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy. She was so dedicated to Yiddishkeit, and even at times when Yiddishkeit wasn't the popular thing. She was so proud of her father, who was a Rav on the East Coast. Yiddishkeit was so important to her. She was certainly a Ruach HaMokam Noicha Emenu, and that's why she was zeichet to be a Ruach HaBriyas Noicha Emenu, that people loved her. She was so beloved by everyone. I feel that she fulfills the pasuk that Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, U'mitzah chen v'seichel toiv, b'einei Elokim v'adam. An individual that was able to find favor and knowledge in the eyes of Hashem Yisborach, in the eyes of people. She was so beloved. She was dedicated to build a home and to build dairis with Yiddishkeit and values. She was zeichet to see banim, u'bnei banim, u'bnei bnei banim, many generations, over 100 einiklach that she's able to be proud of. And this was all a sign to show how her dedication, that she was zeichel lekach. She loved them all, and they all loved her. And she loved them with all her heart. The family should be zeichel that she should be a melitza yosher for them, and the same love that she showed them in her lifetime, in her arichas yamim, every day, how much she loved each and every one of you. She should continue to be a melitza yosher in Shemayim and be a protection for you. Tei nishmasa tzrur b'tzrur hachayim.
where does one even begin to talk about the loss that we all feel today? Over the past number of years, I've spent some time studying family relationships and psychology, and what I've come to understand is that each family, of what they grow up in, experiences what's their own homeostasis, their own normal. And so I figured what I wanted to share with you guys is what my normal was growing up. I grew up getting to see my Saba and my Savta, and I grew up having them at virtually every Yom Tif, getting to spend time with them, getting to watch them love each other and pick on each other. I got to watch that for the first 18 years of my life. I got to watch how heartbroken my Savta was when my Saba passed away at 18. What was normal for me was I didn't even understand mother-in-law jokes, because in my world there were no mothers-in-law, there was no bad mothers-in-law. You know, you were no in-laws. You were sons, you were daughters, you were grandsons. The joke is how my father was the favorite son. You know, this was my normal. This was my homeostasis. They say, Chazal tell us that if you get to see 3 generations of people Amelim Batorah, that you're very blessed. My Savta got to see 7. 7 generations, over 100 descendants. Every single one growing up in Torah values, Yiddishkeit, passing it on to the next generation. Everyone knows that we talk about how great of a man my Saba was and how much of a tzaddik, and I've been blessed that I've been around enough siyumim and enough simchas that I understand that it doesn't come just one man can't do it alone, and he has to come with the foundation of his wife at home as well. What was my normal was growing up where I saw my grandparents work hard, study Torah, and give back and do chesed. And I see that idea and that model exactly copied, exactly followed through by each and every one of my aunts and uncles, my brothers and sisters, my cousins, my nieces, and my nephews. Work hard, learn Torah, do chesed, give back. The Rav mentioned how my grandmother was taught school children for over 40 years. And through all my travels, through yeshiva, through Israel, through wherever it was, there was never a time that I couldn't find at least one person that grew up in Baltimore and knew who Mrs. Taragin was. There was only one student that I ever found that actually had something not as nice to say about her, but that was just Uncle Arnie, because he kept calling her mom instead of Mrs. Taragin in class. You know, I've had the opportunity to be thinking about giving this talk here for a number of months, because Savta liked to do things on her own terms. And, you know, even though we thought 6 months ago that it was going to be the time, she said not yet. You know, and you know, on behalf of her on that as well, I just want to say thank you to Isabel for helping to prolong her life. She loved you like a daughter, even though she kept calling Ivy. And if you know how she loves her daughters, you're not really happy with that anyways. Savta leaves behind a great legacy that we all just try and hope to fulfill. And I don't know how to end this type of speech. You know, I'll miss you, Savta. I hope you're mochalas for everything that, especially that time when I knew you wouldn't remember, so I told you I came to visit you. Just know that we're mochel you. We love you. And just keep watching over us. I know right now Uncle Jeffrey and Aunt Diane are embracing you and dancing around you, and Saba's very excited because for the first time in 23 years he can make his Maror joke this Pesach. And we love you, and that's all I got. So thanks everyone for coming.
Hard to believe we actually outlived her. Nana was born in Brooklyn, either 87 years ago, 92 years ago, 97 years ago, or not. It depends on what story you believe from what she told you at the time. She got a BA from Brooklyn College, which she was very proud of. As we all know, she was always the smartest one in the room, smartest one in the city, in the state, in the house, wherever she was. Her father, Reb Shalom Moshe, was the first Rav in Machzikei Adas. Her mother, Rebbetzin Gittel, was the ultimate Rebbetzin. She saw Nana grew up in a Yiddish house, even though it was in Brooklyn. They still stuck to the old school, Haim. She was very proud. She was the direct sixth descendant of the Vilna Gaon. As the Rav mentioned and Deej mentioned, she taught for 40 years in TA. She was a beloved teacher. She loved her students, and her students loved her. Many people remember how much they were moved and helped by her being their teacher. She was always dressed for perfection, always got her hair done, her nails done. She was very proud. She was regal. She was very proud of how she looked. She was very proud of how she walked around, and I think she was very proud the fact that she represented a Bas Yisrael, the fact that she represented her parents, and she felt that she was the one that had to carry on the legacy of her family. As was mentioned, we counted that she left behind 104 descendants. She's proud of most of them. The pasuk starts this week saying, "Atem nitzavim hayom." You are all standing here today. Rashi says Moshe gathered everyone b'yom misasa on the day of his death. The question is, why did he gather everyone together? And I think we see the concept of everybody being together when somebody passes away. And the fact that Nana had her daughter, she had 4 generations in the room with her when she passed away. even during this tumultuous time, she was zoche to have family around. Family was everything to her. I once asked Reb Shlomo Miller, who should be gesund and stark, how his mother and Nana were two of the, there was 3 siblings out of 9 that remained from during that very tough tekufa for Yiddishkeit. And I asked Reb Shlomo Miller, how is it shaykh? What living in the house of Nana's parents, and he said the kasha is not on the 6, the kasha is on the 3. He says for 3 to hold on so stark, he said that's something that we can't even imagine. And Nana was very proud of that. The pasuk then goes on to say, Roshechem, that sometimes you need to be in charge. Sometimes you need to be the head. When Nana would care for her parents, when she would care for her in-laws, she was in charge. She ran the house. She took care of them. Yontif, Shabbos, her in-laws, my great-grandfather, Rebbe Nachum Mendel, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Levracha, the Imrei Menachem, was always loved to go to my grandparents, to Nana and Saba, and that's where he felt comfortable because that's where he got taken care of. The pasuk says, Ziknechem, a Nana, when she would care for her children, for her grandchildren, she was a Nana. She took care of them. Shotrechem, a ruler. When she took care of me, she was a ruler. As Deej said, I want a special thanks to Jamie and Astoria Place. Nana came about 3 years ago, and we really did not think she was going to survive the day. They nursed her back to health. The place turned upside down to give her therapy, to take her down to movies, to do whatever she needed, whatever they needed to do. And our family will forever be indebted to Jamie and her staff. Isabel, the way you loved our Nana was unbelievable. The way you cared for her, the way you were there for her. We have no possible words that can say thank you. As Deej says, I know Saba's anxiously looking forward to having Nana by his side to help inspire him to keep doing what he's doing. I'm sure she'll be excited to see Jeffrey and Diane and her parents and her in-laws. I just want to end with a message to my mother. I remember talking to you a few weeks ago about the godless of Reb Shlomo Miller, and you were saying how he just knows everything. Kol HaTorah Kula on the back of his hands, and he lives it. And you didn't have those opportunities. But one thing you do have, more than anybody else I've seen in my life, is kibbut av v'em. You're a gadol in kibbut av v'em. The way you cared for Saba, the way you cared for Nana, that's the way it's supposed to be. Every detail, every medicine, Every breath she took, you knew. We were in the hospital maybe a year ago, and the hospital just didn't know the medications right. You picked it up. They gave her an extra half a milligram of something, and you knew something was wrong. You knew it. You called the nurse, you called the hospital, you called the doctors, you called everybody. No matter what time of day, what time of night, what day of the week, it didn't matter. It's truly a lesson to your children. That's very, very hard. And Mirza Hashem, we will be able to live up to the way you showed us how to care for one's parents. I want to ask Nana Mechila. I definitely wasn't always the easiest grandchild. Thank God for Kobe, so I wasn't the most difficult. We truly loved you, Nana. We truly appreciate everything that you did for us. There's no question that there is a part of you in every single one of us, and an extra part in Leora. We love you tremendously. We'll miss you for always. We'll always share good times. And great stories. We'll make up some if we have to. That's the way you would want it. We love you.
El Mole Rachamim, Shoichain Bamraimim, Amsaimenu Chanachaina, Kanfei Yashrina, Bemalais Kedashim Mitarim, Kesayarikia Masirim, Es Nishmas, Aisha Rachel, Bashal Maisha, Rav Shal Maisha, Shalchaloi Lama, Mavur, Shanachnu Mispalim Badas Koras Nishmasa, Began Eden, Taimenu Chasa, Lochain Balarachamim, Yastireo Beseser, Knafav loilamim, bitzvor achayim es nishmasa, Adonaihu nachlasa, sanuach nafsha, b'shalayim al mishkava v'neimar, Amen.
Quorum will be approximately 5 o'clock in Baltimore. There's going to be additional Zoom information on that for those who are on Zoom. We're going to go to Pewaukee Airport. For those who will be following, we'll be lining up in the parking lot, and then we'll head to the airport right away.